Honestly, Grandad, I'm so glad you're on the road to recovery. You might be on life support for now, but the strength that you've shown, I'm convinced nothing could stop you.
Obrigou a sua defesa a ficar acordado e toma o lançamento germancano. Ele bate, a bola vai pra fora.
Jesus, yo, that was a close one. That was close to hitting the life support switch. Grandad? You know what's annoying? I had him to get 3 shots on target as well, for fuck's sake. All he had to do was keep it down. Darren, now's not the time. Yo guys, it is your boy Niran here, and you are watching FTW. This, of course, the series where I bring to you the best and more frequently the worst of what football has to offer during the last 7 days. And this is the first episode since hitting 750,000 subscribers. So once again, I just want to say a massive, massive thank you to you guys. This series has been running for basically 6 years now, but my channel has been going for over 12. And for you guys to have been interested in what I do for any varying amounts of time, whether you've been here for 12 years, in which case I'm so sorry, or if you've been here for 12 days, either way, you guys still allowing me to do a job that I love and still taking in the content that I do is genuinely, it's an honor. I will happily waffle to you for another 12. But what's been kicking off in the world this week? Well, it's a bad year to be a CEO. You're either dead or dead in the eyes of your wife, as this man had to step down as CEO of his company after being caught having an affair at a concert. Yeah, we're gonna need to go to VAR here.
I would just stop it there. We go in a little bit closer.
Hype given. His reaction clearly giving away the fact that he was not meant to be with the woman that he had his arms wrapped around. Apparently a colleague of his. All this controversy happening at a Coldplay concert. Just imagine how embarrassed his family are gonna be when they realize he was watching Coldplay. I love your first 3 albums, Coldplay, please. His wife was pretty annoyed watching at home on TV after seeing he's clapping somebody else's cheeks. Honestly, there's no survival skills here at all from either of them. The composure of Rasmus Højlund 1v1. Now, we're right into the transfer window and big clubs are signing strikers all over the place. Like West Ham are signing Callum Wilson, for God's sake.
Because he knew what...
Yeah, we might have to get Graham Potter and go out there because it's actually a wrap for them this season. Elsewhere across London, though, and Arsenal finally got their man. It took about 7 Mikel Arteta-esque phases, and as they have fucking standard. But they signed Viktor Gyokeres for just under £70 million from Sporting. There we land. He's been unfollowed by the Champions League on Instagram. Apparently, Viktor was so keen on a move away from the Portuguese side, given his stock is so high, he sent a legal letter to the club. That legal letter can be exposed here. And it's not just him that's excited, his new Arsenal teammates are ready for him as well. Pause. Miles Lewis-Skelly showing the headline on his phone, clearly excited. Meanwhile, Declan Rice and youngster Max Doman are clearly happy with the news too. Leandro Trossard, however, will be a bit more confused, watching a previous Brighton flop walk in through the door at 70 million quid. Penny for Ruben Amorim's thoughts, by the way. He's been betrayed by his former player, and he knows his anti-super team's got to play these lot on game week 1 after getting rejected. The Swede will be treating his former boss harshly when Arsenal link Manchester United on the first day of the season.
Ah, yes. I was wondering what would break first. Your spirit or your body?
The thing is, though, he's walking into an Arsenal squad distracted. Declan Rice will be thinking about his expected do-rags instead of playing him in behind. Hey, play me in, bro.
On my deck.
Leading to a slightly different Gyokeres in terms of form against a low block. Meanwhile, Arsenal fans will be getting a little bit carried away when they buy Swedish meatballs from Sainsbury's.
Right. So you went into a shop with your hands on your face like that?
Honestly, though, genuinely, this is obviously a serious signing, isn't it? Gyokeres has been scoring goals for fun. He's been performing in the Champions League, like that hat-trick against Manchester City. I do wonder just how well goals in the Portuguese league are going to translate to the system for Arsenal and in the Premier League as well. But either way, it gets you excited, you know. Liverpool spending big, Arsenal signing Gyokeres, Chelsea winning the Club World Cup, Manchester City look like their old selves, Manchester United are in the league as well, and it promises for a serious title fight this time around. Liverpool, however, saw Arsenal spending money on bottles in the club and said not today. Fuck's sake, man, why is Jack Grealish in there as well? As Hugo Ekitike agreed to sign for the Reds from Eintracht Frankfurt, otherwise known as Hugo Long Neketike. It's good to see, honestly, that we're spending a little bit of money. We're not so frugal at the moment. We're finally starting to get through that Jordan Ibe transfer fund. Jurgen Klopp, honestly, I want to know what he's thinking. He must be fuming fuming watching this after having a transfer budget of a Tesco club card and 3 Kinder Buenos.
Running out of energy.
But it's a lot of money for a young striker who, to be fair, is an absolute baller. His technique is phenomenal. But in terms of goal scoring, hasn't quite really been able to cut it to the amount that you would expect for 95 million euros. When you think about it, it's practically a goal a million. People are calling him Eki TikTok already, and I'm not sure if I'm ready for him to be a flop. Either way, Frankfurt, with the sales they've been able to achieve recently, we might have to send them down for fraud, because I don't know what's going on.
Did you see what I did there?
It's a scam.
Then, though, a bombshell. It's a Thursday afternoon. Fabrizio Romano's having his 4th wank of the afternoon, scrolling through Transfermarkt, when a notification comes through. And then he scrolled past that one, because that one was, he didn't want to. And the next notification, Alexander Isak wanted to leave. Yeah, another Swedish striker could be on the move. Alexander Isak telling Newcastle to hold that, and that he wants to get himself out of the northeast. And overall, things are looking pretty bad if you're a Geordie right now.
You fucking worthless piles of shit!
Newcastle fans would have been excited originally, hearing Ekitike and Isak were going to play together this season, before realising it's not for them. Meanwhile, with more persistent links to Liverpool after signing Ekitike, how greedy. Let's be honest, Hugo's time in the starting 11 is looking pretty limited already at this point. I just want to know how we're actually funding this, fam, because the Arnie slot machine must have come up with some serious winnings. Either that, maybe we're still living off the Adam Bogdan to Wigan on loan money. Apparently, Newcastle legend Alan Shearer spoke with Alexander Isak to try and convince him to stay at the club. Alan was struggling to convince Isak they'd be able to improve their team, not gonna lie.
You don't have to sell this summer. It's all paper nonsense. You haven't got a clue.
These lot were talking about that they were going to play a 4-4-2 next season. They were going to drop Joe Linton and play Ekitike and Isak up front. That 4-4-2 is looking like a 4-4-0 right now.
4-4 fucking.
They're going to be lining up with Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Joe Linton up front next season. And it's DCL down the centre of the catwalk that he's walking in. I just know that Ollie McBurney's currently sat outside St James's Park trying to convince them to make him their lone striker.
I've been a fan of this great club all my life, and this is why I love Newcastle United.
Oh, fine. Go and ring Miguel Almiron. It, of course, does beg the question who's going to be signing Alexander Isak, seeing as Alexander was clearly dropped on his skull as a child, as he's waited till after Hugo Ekitike and Viktor Gyokeres' deals were complete. Let's not move too fast, though. I'm sure Mikel will be driving straight into Gyokeres' medical to get that shit cancelled. Apparently, all of the paperwork is already done, though. They'll be doing a Swede for Swede, bro. Bidding Gyokeres plus £30 million for Isak next Sunday. Someone on Twitter replied to me saying that he'd either be going to PSG or Manchester United.
Manchester United.
Why are United in this conversation, fam? They were not even allowed into the club. Jim Ratcliffe's currently, as we speak, getting escorted through Newcastle train station after putting a bid down in 104 installments. This is a transfer saga set to rumble on and could even drag into the start of the Premier League season, though Newcastle players will be in for a surprise when Isak swaps allegiances on game week 3.
You haven't seen him since the coach? What the hell? We need him for the game. He says he's defected to the sidemen team.
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
He says he was a spy. He was a spy to learn our tactics.
This is an outrage.
Guys, genuinely, I need him. Isak for Liverpool, we would win the World Cup, fam. You understand how many points he'd score on FPL against United? It's about to be dark. One man you won't be able to sign on FPL next season, though, is Marcus Rashford, who finally gets a break from being mentally abused by Ruben Amorim to sign for Barcelona on loan. Ayo, Yamal, yeah, sunny, innit? Kids in the Barcelona area are delighted, realising they'll actually be getting some food on the table this year. And now Barcelona, they're not sponsored by UNICEF anymore, so he's got to come and do the charity work instead. Marcus signs on loan for the Catalan side, giving them an option to buy him permanently at the end of the season. And just in case they do exercise that right, he's already tried to learn a little bit of Spanish.
Buenos noches, días. 7, 8. ¿Dónde Esteban?
The transfer announcement on social media saw him stepping out of a traditional English phone box. And when presented with the shirt, we saw that he's clearly got the size 16s on. Look, I know most United players have clown shoes on, but this is taking the piss. Hansi Flick's offside trap tactic is in serious trouble with these boats on. We need to go to VAR on this as well.
Look at the size of that fucker.
This continues a trend for Barca's attackers. The power of R. Rafinha, Rashford, Robert. Martin Braithwaite would have been described as an R of a different kind. I'm not gonna lie. All I know is Marcus must be gassed going from Rasmus Højlund to Robert Lewandowski. That's crazy. So I feel like he might get a little bit too comfortable trying to impress Latinas in the local area.
I'm actually a really famous soccer player from England.
fucking head.
Imagine last year saying Marcus Rashford and Trent Alexander-Arnold would be going against each other at El Clasico. Well, that's where we are. I can't lie. I can't believe I'm going to be doing a hate watch on Trent and a love watch on Rashford. And not only that, but he's going to get reunited with Jesse Lingard in pre-season as Barcelona are set to face off against the Korean side that Jesse plays for. As for Rashford, he's arguably fallen up here a little bit. After having a bit of a torrid time at Manchester United, he finds himself going to one of the best attacking teams in the world. Meanwhile, Jadon Sancho's watching on, seeing that his options for next season are Swindon Town and MK Dons.
I don't know, man. This is peak still.
Now, we're getting to the business end of the 2025 Women's Euros.
If you like ladies football, clap your hands.
Usually, teams want to actually get to this phase of a tournament, you know, try and win it. England's Lionesses, however, have been outright physically attempting not to get so far. First of all, saving themselves from a massive underperformance with a late goal against Sweden, followed by what can only be described as an optional shootout. 4 penalties for a possible 12 for both sides, in fairness here, is an absolute horror show. I know we're bad at penalties as a country, but for fuck's sake, ladies. Joey Barton must have been loving it watching those penalties get saved. Then again, beating a women's side means something very different to him, doesn't it? Lucy Bronze was not having any of that nonsense. She smashed one into the roof of the net. You know you can always rely on her. Meanwhile, Sweden's goalkeeper had the opportunity to take a penalty after saving multiple, only to take a goal kick instead of a pen. Did you really have to do that again? In fairness, though, she did save 4 pens. If I saved 4 penalties in a shootout and still went out of the competition, I'd become Danish. I don't give a fuck, mate. No one's getting on the bus with me. You're all walking home. Speaking of shot stoppers, and England's Hannah Hampton had to take an unexpected call during a press conference.
Got a FaceTime. Hold on. Paul, I'm in a presser. Look. I've got to go.
Meanwhile, Adjumang was the hero in this one, scoring late on. Her face, though, after England were awarded a dodgy corner, was truly a picture. And I think she'd be a pretty terrible poker player. She is, however, a great football player. She came to the rescue once again with a 96th minute equaliser against Italy. And then into the final minutes of extra time, there was more holding than an anxious Pedro Pascal, which saw a score from a rebound after Chloe Kelly missed her original penalty. Jammy. Ian Wright couldn't contain his excitement watching the Lionesses qualify for yet another Euros final. And honestly, Italy put up a good fight, but hold that. After the Euros of 2021, I don't care. We're putting cheddar cheese on our pasta from here on in. There was some great work, to be fair, when it came to food slander from both English fans and Italian ones as well, completed by the England squad knocking out Italy, causing them heartbreak, and then ordering a pizza afterwards. This might be the world's first Deliveroo shithousery award. Absolutely brutal, though, for the Italians. They were definitely the underdogs here, but going out to a 96th minute equaliser and then a 119th minute penalty is pretty tragic. Chloe Kelly, though, was on badness again, changing the game once more. Lewis Hamilton was gassed for the Lionesses over on Instagram. That man does not give a shit about his Italian employers at Ferrari. They'll be delivering him a very different kind of card this weekend in Belgium.
Honestly, I didn't think I was going to make it.
France versus Germany was box office as well. It saw Germany progress despite some pretty horrific hair pulling going on. You can't do this and then be shocked at the fact you've been given a red card. It's actually impossible. You literally got a case study of this last week. Mark Kukureya's getting flashbacks, bless him. For Germany's starting 11 now, and I'm really sorry, but a player called Minge playing for Germany is doing immeasurable damage to the women's game. Elsewhere on the pitch, and Berger and Ket, that just sounds like a traditional Saturday night combo for Kyle Walker. On a more serious note, though, and Germany's goalkeeper is realistically a hero. She's been diagnosed with cancer on 2 separate occasions in 2017 and even recently in 2022, has not only overcome them both in terms of her general health, but has returned back to the peak and the pinnacle of her game to represent her country at international competitions. And not only that, she physically, single-handedly guided them through this international competition by making an absolutely bonkers save to deny an own goal, reaching over behind her to save this one. It needs hanging in the Louvre. But she also saved vital penalties in the shootout that came afterwards, including one of the weirdest run-ups in human history for France. The keeper had every chance. Truly stoppable. Now, elsewhere, and the NHS are considering using free football as a way to treat patients in hospitals. I'm not being funny. If I'm a Burnley fan, I've just been told I've got tuberculosis. Why do I want to watch my side get pumped 5-0 by Manchester City? Imagine me, a Liverpool fan, when my doctor prescribes me a Darwin Núñez 1v1.
I'm just going to take a brief break while I go and slash my wrist.
This is a bad idea. It sounds like a good idea on paper, but one bad Arsenal VAR decision and it's looking like a Royal Rumble inside the ward. Being a United fan is enough to put you in A&E. You don't then need to watch the team when you get there. Speaking of which, United fans won't have been too pleased with what they saw when they faced off against Leeds in a pre-season friendly. It took about 6 minutes for Matheus Cunha to have a tantrum at his teammates. This is what you signed up for, pal. I'm not gonna lie to you. And another man that has signed up for it is Brian Mbeumo, who now officially joins from Brentford. This is a shocking development. I did not know that this was gonna... Jim, by the way, called them Manchester divided. Do you know how rude that is as a situation? Honestly, Mbeumo and Cunha, decent transfer business until you realise that the whole rest of the squad needs sorting out as well. Bayer Leverkusen were ready and excited for their first pre-season outing with Erik Ten Hag as manager, only to immediately concede to Flamengo. Yet they were 4-0 down at half-time to Flamengo's under-20s, with the final score being a 5-1 humbling. They say that Rome wasn't built in a day. Rome would not be looking very good if Erik Ten Hag was in charge of building it. I just know Cristiano Ronaldo's somewhere watching this on, seeing Erik's pain and laughing at his phone. He's gonna take them from never losing to never winning, mate, for goodness sake. All Leverkusen fans, they'll have made up their minds when Erik signs another 4 Ajax players for a combined 3.68 billion naira.
It's time to go!
Eras come to an end, or they don't even start in this game, because Erik is firmly ready to ruin another entire football club. But one man needs to have the spotlight shone on him from Flamengo. Matheus Gonçalves, their number 10, absolutely schooled these lot. I know Leverkusen had a few youngsters playing as well, so they probably went to school after. But some of the skills, some of the trickery, some of the dribbling, and some of the creativity from this kid, yeah, we need to watch out for him. I don't know if he's linked with big clubs, but this performance was actually rude, borderline. It was a bad day for Leverkusen, not a great day for Newcastle United either, as they were absolutely drubbed by Celtic. 4-0 the final score, triggering this rather unique full-time graphic from the club. I'm honestly not sure what's worse, the scoreline or the graphic. Here's the actual one that they needed to put out. Nick Pope provided a howler in this one, just absolutely flapping at a long ball pumped forward by Celtic. He couldn't deal with a cross to save his life, which is not really expected, to be honest with you, when you're a Pope. Celtic nicknamed the boys Popes are usually pretty decent at handling those. Meanwhile, there was confusion down at Tottenham with a case of mistaken identity for one Spurs supporter.
Of course, bro. What's my name?
Nduggy.
Huh?
Nduggy.
A doggy?
Yeah.
What's my first name?
Don't know.
You don't know? Nah, I can't give you a sign, brother. I can't. Fucking Destiny.
This kid thought that Jed Spence was Destiny Doggy, and for that reason, Jed Spence didn't sign his shirt. Look, I kind of hear it. If you're going to ask for a person's signature, at least know who they are. But at the same time, he is 11. His football knowledge is a gold starter team on FC 25 and half a sticker collection that his dad owned in 2001. Rodrigo Bentancur must be this kid's inspiration, because he can't tell an ethnic to save his life. This kid will be back at home taking his Dominic Solanke poster off the wall before realizing that the guy in the car was not him either. Jed Spence's most recent Insta post just made it even better. Over in Spain, and Endrick is officially married. This kid's tied the knot and he ain't even finished sixth form. Go out and experience life, man. Well, you know, obviously Bobby Charlton is married, so I felt like I needed to follow in his footsteps. I'm wishing him happiness, obviously, for himself and his partner, and at the end of the day, he is 47 at heart, so maybe it's blessed after all. At Real Madrid, and Jude Bellingham underwent shoulder surgery, which will keep the Englishman out for 3 months. That FC 26 cover is looking very different these days, I'm not gonna lie, with him and Musiala. He will be keeping himself entertained though at some music events whilst he spends some time out on the sidelines. Meanwhile, the Fiat 500 police will be out in full force trying to find and apprehend the person that gave him the injury. Vinny Jr. appeared in front of a waxwork of himself that was unveiled this week. Unlike some of the other statues we see and stuff of footballers, it's actually pretty good and probably has a better chance at completing a rainbow flick than he does. Meanwhile, Sevilla couldn't believe what they were seeing as they were playing in a pre-season friendly. There was was a mandatory water break at just 22 degrees. Yeah, utter woke nonsense in their eyes. At Napoli, and Scott McTominay is actually a 5-star skiller now. This city has changed his life, by the way. There was no way he knew how to do this at Manchester United. Rafael Leao is known for his skill and being very entertaining. The former Italian footballer Antonio Cassano believes that he's actually playing for the attention of women rather than to actually win football matches. This a man who apparently bedded 700 women during his footballing career. Those are escort numbers. You don't have the qualifications to talk on this matter. He took an STI test, he got an A star in it. Rafael Leao responded as well by saying, "This guy really loves me," and it's a shithousery award for the Portuguese winger. Speaking of beating, and AS Roma fairly comfortably defeated Trastevere this week, 14-0 the final score in their friendly. Lead singer of Kasabian, Serge Pizzorno, graduated from university this week. I'm guessing he did a post-grad course of some kind, and he did a special shout-out to former Leicester boss and Italian manager Claudio Ranieri during it.
And the second is from Claudio Ranieri, who put it simply, dilly ding, dilly dong. Thank you.
Meanwhile, Chievo Verona announced they'll be playing a side called EVOL, a Twitter app that, when you dig into it a little bit, actually failed geography back in 2007. Hopefully they know what stadium to go to, even if they don't know any geography skills. In Germany, and Hoffenheim announced their new signing, Berger, and for branding purposes deciding to call him a king as well. I didn't know they'd signed Eden Hazard. He'll be looking slightly different after a 14th straight Berger sponsorship. In France, and Nantes will be wondering how on God's green earth they didn't manage to score here, having had about 17 different opportunities. And there was drama at Caen, where Anthony Mandrea was trying to scrap a supporter who he heard calling out members of his family and chanting about his mother. In the end, the situation was diffused and he apologised, but all hell could have broken out. Now there is time for your goals of the week. We've got some absolute bangers once again. First of all, we head to Japan, where Leo Seara has really provided the definition of opportunistic, seeing a goalkeeper slightly off his line, battling with a defender and looping it in from distance. In South Korea, and Jesse Lingard is getting on pretty well. He picked it up on the edge of the area and absolutely smacked it in on the half-volley top bins. For the Jesse Lingard that we saw in, well, the FA Cup finals, we might need an investigation into his teammates' trim nose. Despicable. In Australia and in the Australian Cup, I mean, that would make sense, Hobie Kemp has brought out the acrobatics for South Hobart, but finally we've got a stupendous long-range screamer coming from Bhutan. Yeah, I can't imagine we've ever had a goal of the week from Bhutan before, a small country in Asia, but shout out to Kelzang Dorji, who's absolutely battered it in from distance right into the top corner. Hello all, and welcome to The Beautiful Game, the segment where we take a look at the poetic and brilliant side of the game that we love. We are back by popular demand for yet more glorious beauty.
Still there, Peru. But, Harrison couldn't push it into a place where he could do anything with it.
But once again, great vision, wasn't it, from Harry Gray. Just knows where Peru is. Handball. Penalty.
Penalty. Well, that's a bit of a gift, isn't it?
What was the defender thinking?
And that concludes The Beautiful Game. Over in MLS, and Lionel Messi was caught looking at the body of his teammate Luis Suarez. This man might be a little bit past his prime at this stage, I'm not gonna lie, boys. Well, Lionel Messi has another mate joining him, and that's in the form of Rodrigo de Paul, who signed for Inter Miami. I actually think they might be piping now, you know. This is starting to get a little bit crazy. Rodrigo de Paul, who is quite honestly always there to defend Leo at every single opportunity, provides yet another security guard for the Argentine. Him and Leo's original security guard will be scrapping to be able to protect Leo's ball sack in the shower. Another former Atletico man who was supposed to be on the move was Saul. He had his contract with Atletico terminated and was supposed to be going to Trabzonspor, only to tweet that it didn't work out, tagging the actual football club, saying it didn't happen for personal reasons. Bro's done a goodbye message before even signing. This is a hello message. In South Africa though now, and look, we all know how South African sort of classy football works. It's not normal football. They don't care about scores, to be honest. They just want to entertain. They just want to pull out skill moves, and honestly, that is being done to the absolute max here. I'm seeing foolishness that I've never seen on a football pitch before, only for it to actually end up against all odds, resulting in a match-winning goal. Yeah, everyone on the other team's got to retire. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules. Even the referees getting involved in these shenanigans.
Once he finds himself involved, also dribbling his way
Back in Bhutan, and you remember that goal of the week that I showed you a second ago? Well, in the same league, we had a not-so goal of the week. What the hell is going on in Austria, though, and at TSV Hartberg, who have put a disgraceful amount of sponsors on their shirt for the season. They must be earning bank, but there's no room for any more real estate on here. Besiktas fans were having fun during a pre-season friendly. They discovered Slovenian footballer Lukas Kasparovic, who they declared looked like Luka Modric, and started chanting that at him. Meanwhile, in Argentina, there's some fierce words being said, and things are about to go west. Look, listen, ref, personally, I wouldn't have that, bro. Yeah, get yourself sent off, G. Fucking have that. In Vietnam is where we now find one of the world's tallest footballers. Kyle Hudlin, who spent most of his time playing in the Football League in England, or the non-league in England as well, is 6'9", and he's signed for a club in Vietnam. This man's gonna put up Ronaldo in League 2 numbers, bro. Like, do you understand? He's gonna be literally 1 full foot taller than most of the players that play in this league. Apparently, though, according to fans of his former clubs, he can't head the ball. Bro, just learn. You're built like Canary Wharf. How can you not head it? In Brazil, and as an unconventional way to stretch a footballers off the pitch in Serie B. Meanwhile, back in MLS, and Hugo Lloris pulled out the craziest save of the week. On the floor, volleying the ball away from him. Closer to home, and Jadon Sancho responded to comments on his post about winning the Club World Cup with Chelsea. He grabbed himself a medal, but comments were saying this was his mood after collecting 300 grand for doing nothing. Jadon not too happy, but in reality, this was his contribution to the win. Watford have signed Nestori Irankunda, a player signed by Bayern Munich from Australia, one of the first Oceania wonder kids we've had in a while, and they got a familiar face to announce his signing.
Okay, today we're managing Watford on Football Manager, and I know just the player that we need to sign. Careful there. All right, training tomorrow at 7. I'll see you there. Yeah.
Truly phenomenal to see a friend of the channel and friend of a random club in Brighton somewhere absolutely killing it as always. Irankunda himself, though, was emotional too after actually being allowed to wear his favourite number 66 by the EFL. At Leeds, and they had Will Ferrell pictured in their new away kit for the season. Honestly, get him up front. Better than Patrick Bamford. Thomas Frank could also be seen in kit that he doesn't usually wear, in the form of full Nike Tech fleece.
Your trousers are funny, fam.
Welsh goalkeeper Wayne Hennessy announced his retirement from football this week, and sir, we salute you on your way out, but not like that. No, Wayne, please, not again. Meanwhile, Alsager Town announced the signing of a youngster by the name of Taylor Swift. Can't lie, boss, I'm starting to feel my hamstring a little bit. That's all right. Get your stretchers out and just shake it off, bro. Yeah, I want a transfer request. In Guatemala now, 2 sides had to duck for cover after a swarm of angry wasps descended upon their stadium. There's wholesome stuff in Greece, where their national team has agreed to give a chunk of their bonuses for being promoted in the Nations League to the family of their former teammate, the late George Baldock. In Denmark, FC Frederica might want to rethink their graphics decisions for the season with this very difficult to see starting lineup. The printer ran out of ink halfway through the graphic. This is absolutely crazy. Up in Scotland, and Celtic have signed a player by the name of Shin. Him and Irish band Kneecap will be turning up together for Celtic games. In Montenegro now, the main priority of this fan clearly holding on to his favourite bottle of brandy. There's some unconventional dribbling going on in Nigeria. Not only have you got to make it past the defenders, you've also got to make it around a brick wall to get to the other side of this dribble. Crazy scenes in Australia, where 4th Division side Nunawading City beat a side in the 2nd tier called Darwin Olympic in the last 32 of the Australian Cup. This is not all that crazy until you realise that the 4th Division side won 9-0, and it was a pretty big scoreline as well in the Estonian Cup, where Harju beat TransferWise 26-0. Well, clearly their transfers weren't very wise at all then, were they? Now though, it's time for Still 0-0, and you guys know the score by now. This is a segment of the show where I bring to the best of Sunday League and amateur football, and it's not often the cameras are on you when you're playing Sunday League. If you do something spectacular, sometimes it might get lost to the ether. But in this situation, one of the best goals this man will ever score has been captured right on film, and it is something Paul Pogba-esque. You know, I don't even have anything to say. That's just an absolute screamer. So there is some good football at Sunday League after all. On to the weird stuff though now. First of all, we head to Cameroon, where we've got a very interesting Man of the Match award. We've seen some crazy ones in the history of this channel, the likes of live chickens. Mobile data has been handed out to players who have performed well, and today the theme continues. As I mentioned, in Cameroon we've got a guy winning toilet roll. But finally we have one of the most incredible turnarounds and one of the most mental comebacks in footballing history across a season. Meet Tuve Azar Ganud, a team that play in Mongolia, who had honestly one of the most disastrous starts to a season ever. They conceded conceded 109 goals in their first 9 games, including a 20-1 defeat. It was disastrous. They had absolutely no chance of surviving, only they've completely turned things around and stayed up, guaranteeing their survival thanks to a 4-1 win, their 7th win of the season. That, though, is going to wrap up football this week, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, then feel free to slap a like on the video, and of course, subscribe if you are new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at @theofficialfng on Twitter and on Insta. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.